헐렁한 다섯 고무기사.
내 딸 어딨어?
Hey everyone, Tyler here at The Movie Beat. Welcome back to another Korean movie review. Happy Chuseok, everybody. That is, happy Korean Thanksgiving. It's holiday season here in Korea, so usually we have a lot of new releases coming out in the theaters. And even though we've got Corona year going on, we still got some new ones, so very thankful for that, and I'm very happy to be sharing with you my thoughts on this new action film called The Swordsman. It's Choi Jae-hoon's directorial debut. It stars Jang Hyuk, Hyun-soo, Taslim, Jung Man-sik, Lee Na-kyung, and Jang Hyun-soo. Let's get into it. I think there's been a few different attempts in Korean cinema to really capture that traditional martial arts or swordplay style of film, whether it was fantasy or drama. Movies like Shadowless Sword, Memories of the Sword, The Sword with No Name. A lot of these, I feel, have tended to lean more towards that epic period piece that becomes more of a costume drama and just more drama focused. While that has its place, I feel, and I do like that, it sort of misses that real traditional martial arts style of movie that you might think of if you watched maybe some old Shaw Brothers movies, Hong Kong, or even Bruce Lee films. I feel like they just a little bit, they're definitely much smaller in scale. Think like there's a village and some bad guys come walking in, causing trouble. You're gonna need the badass martial artists in town to show them they can't do that anymore. And I do think that this film, The Swordsman, is more along that side. So I think fans of that traditional martial arts sense, even though this one is a historical film, takes place in the time of Joseon, it has those traditional aspects about it. So that was an awesome part, and I think a lot of people are gonna like that. So let's get into the story a little bit. After a coup to overthrow the king, Joseon's best swordsman and loyal bodyguard to the former king, Tae-yul, played by Jang Hyuk, abandons his position to begin a new life of quiet solitude in the countryside. Many years later, Tae-yul begins to suffer from acute vision loss, and so he and his daughter, Tae-hyuk, played by Hyun-soo, begin to seek remedies within a neighboring village. There, they encounter a merciless band of thugs from Cheongnara, or the King Dynasty, who have been abusing the Joseon villagers with secret ransoms for their wives and daughters who were being stolen from their families and sent away as gifts to the King Empire. The thugs, led by the fierce swordsman Gurutai, played by Taslim, walk with an air of untouchability as their criminal acts go unpunished out of fear of retribution from the King Empire. But when Tae-yul's daughter gets caught up in the slave trade, he is forced out of retirement and wields his sword once again to strike back at the fearsome menace in an effort to recover his only daughter. Now, first of all, while this film does take place in real historical times, it's a completely fictitious story, but certain things like how Joseon was bullied by the neighboring King Dynasty that was going on, and they really kind of had to give in to whatever pressures, or obviously there were some people that enjoyed the favor that they got or whatever riches, and so it was a weird kind of give and take to preserve the identity of the Joseon people, but also not, start too much trouble with this huge neighboring giant powerhouse. So certain things like the sending of daughters and wives to the King Empire as these gifts to whatever noble person. I mean, this is like straight up slave trade stuff. So we're in Joseon, and you've got this whole thing going on. It's just kind of like something that people are living with, but these thugs that are coming in on the side, and they're saying, whoa, we'll actually give you your daughter or your wife back, but you're gonna have to pay us. And they've kind of got this weird side hustle going on, and people are pissed and they want to fight back, but they're afraid of the wrath of the King Dynasty. And so people kind of turn a blind eye to this, and it sets up the perfect opportunity for a lone badass to say enough is enough. And so enter Jang Hyuk's character Tae-yul. Awesome. And so once I got that mindset of, okay, how is this even happening or possible? Then you're like, okay, enter martial arts film. Here we go. So there's some things about this movie that I really liked that I think worked so well, and it was also weird when I'm thinking like, what didn't work for me? Some of those things that I liked also had aspects to them that did not work. So I'm going to try to present this review as sort of, I'm trying not to give too many sword puns, but it's going to be sort of a double-edged sword for me in this movie. The goods and the bads of a similar topic. So to begin with, I want to start with saying the swords. I mean, this movie's called The Swordsman. The swords in this movie were awesome. I loved the design of them. The lead character, Tae-yoo, played by Jang Hyuk, he's got a sword that doesn't look like it's the normal length. It's a bit shorter, but it's like pronged. It's almost like a fork-esque, but it looked really cool. But also I liked how the choreography incorporates that design to block or weave, and he kind of does these roll tactics where he's able to spin, and he's more of a slasher. So he spins, gets in close, and he'll slash on, neck, arm, body. So it really established his fighting style really well. Even the villains in this movie, Gurutai, his sword looks like something out of a fantasy movie. It was awesome. But I did feel like there were some opportunities to show a little bit more of a personal connection between swordsmen and their sword that didn't really get fleshed out. There was one scene where Tae-yoo kind of was talking to a blacksmith, and I thought this is the scene where he's going to forge him his sword with his special design that he really likes or something. And, maybe that would have been too cliche, but it doesn't really go that route. The sword that Tae-yoo has was, important in a certain sense. You'll guys see when you watch the movie. Also, the style of this movie, a little bit of a double-edged sword, because I feel like there is some attempt to make a bit of a mainstream appeal here with how they set everything up. It does start out kind of clean, and it's got some acting style and costumes, especially by Kim Hyun-soo, who's super bubbly, and she's just whisking through the markets, trying to take in all of the beauty of nature, and she's just very entertaining, and she's nice to watch. But I'm like, is this supposed to be a gritty action movie? What's going on? But it does have that style of gritty martial arts movie as well, because when the bad guys come in with their posse and their look, it's just like they all have the unique hairstyle. They're a little bit over the top. They're really playing the part of that evil goon, and you hate them. But the main character, the main bad guy, Guru Tai, played by Taslim, he's got this kind of a weird style of talking. It reminded me a lot of Steven Seagal, and it is like that through the whole movie.
So your daughter is gonna die before you, and we're gonna take you down, and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do that, and do you think you can win? Because you can't, and I will win, and then.
It's freaky, it's creepy, it works for this character, but it was odd. So it pushed it more into that genre territory, which is fine, but I think maybe some people looking for more realistic or general type style, not going to be happy with that. One other thing about the action in this one that I would have preferred, it took that extra step to go almost full like Lady Snowblood or Lone Wolf and Cub, like artillery spray, blood splatters, close-ups of the slashes and things like that. But the film seems like it's trying to protect from getting like a super high, like 19 plus rating, and it wants to keep that lower rating. Maybe on that sort of my double-edged sword, it's trying to appeal maybe to too many people. Because it did feel like there were some really specific edits to not show a lot of actual sword slashes, a lot of cutaways until the end. Like they were given, you can only show like 5 of these. It sort of felt like that. So I wanted more blood, and I wanted some, more. I wanted to be a little bit more violent. Pace of this movie, whoa. Never a dull moment. I think the editing was sharp, and it just moved really well. It was fluid, and especially once the ball gets rolling, it's like a train that's unstoppable, and I love that part of the movie. And it doesn't drag. Like there's no 4th, 5th epilogue act. It's just like, boom, you know, when it's done, it's done. And I love that about this movie. But the beginning of the film, for my double-edged sword thing, it's a little bit weird because the main character, our swordsman, he's in his hermit phase. He's really kind of hiding his identity, but he's just so expressionless in his demeanor, and he's got kind of this puppy dog face, and he's got is his mind okay? Is his brain like, I didn't know what was going on, and I was waiting for him to start swinging his sword. Once it gets going, it gets going. So that's the double edge there. Also, what I really liked about this film was the mystique that they give the lead character, Taehyul. I really don't like when they explain away that mystery that makes the character so fascinating. And so maybe like a Zatoichi, I feel like this character Taehyul could be in sequels, and I could see him in a different situation or a different setting because he's got just those core values. We don't know every problem about him, and they only stick to the swordsman's principles, which I liked. So the double edge there is you don't really get to know too much about the characters, but as a martial arts film, you learn about their principles of loyalty and maybe their skewed or warped perceptions of honor when it comes to maybe the bad guy in the film. But even the other excellent martial artist in the movie, played by Jung Man-sik, he has his own sense of loyalty and principles, and I loved how the main swordsmen in this film were portrayed in that light. So awesome warrior mentality. So for those that really like traditional style martial arts, action, swordplay type movies, you are going to love this one. The story is nothing really new to write home about, but it's done well and right. So for that, I gotta rate The Swordsman a strong 7 out of 10, and I am just praying to the Blu-ray gods for a great release of this one, because this is one that I definitely want to buy. Whoa, whatever the issue, I actually usually want to complain that the sound is too low in the theaters. This one, I was almost covering my ears because they were blasting it. Every sword swing was cling clang, and it was, I can't wait to watch this one on the home system. So hoping for an awesome Blu-ray release with a cool package. Blu-ray gods, do me right. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Let me know what you guys think of The Swordsman when you end up seeing it. Until next time, I'm Tyler at The Movie Beat. Keep watching movies.